Sanibonani. Igama lami nguMandla Ngakambathi Sibongo. I'm a counselor at Tranquility. I'm also a recovering addict and alcoholic. Approaching my 8th year manje, clean and sober. So ngizokhuluma experience that I had nale pandemic okuyi COVID. And ngizokhuluma futhi ukuthi noncedo engilitholile kule counseling team yala Tranquility that actually helped me ukuthi ngilwe le mpi ye COVID. So just in a nutshell, I remember bengisebenza and kwaba into engathi kwasa flu, you know, and ngazitshela nje ngathi no, maybe into edlulayo isikhathi sakhona ngaqhubeka nakusasa, you know, but I think after 2 to 3 days kula bese ba worse khona, and I must say ukuthi ama symptoms wakhona it's something I never expect. You know, I always ngizwa abantu bakhuluma ngayo, but for some reason ngangicabanga ukuthi mina I'm immune to it. Angeke izingiphathe. Mina ngeke izingiphathe lento inabantu bayo. You know, until njengoba ngisho ngithi after 3 days ngikhumbula kahle bengilele noma ngithi ngiyavuka. So it was like amaphaphu wami ngathi bewavaleka, you know, and given the fact ukuthi ngapha i-headache, ngapha nje ubudizzy, umzimba wami uhlala ukhathele, but le ama-lungs into emaqala ukwenzakala ngizwa kahle ukuthi ngathi sengiba nenkinga yokuphefumula. Ngiyakhumbula ngize ngithi nayi lento abakhuluma ngayo ukuthi uma usuphethwe i-COVID kwenzeka kanje, you know, and lokho nje kwangithusa. I think it was more of a fear eyangibamba ukundlula the actual COVID, you know, and ngafuna ngaleso sikhathi bengaka-test, ilukuthi njenga-test la Tranquility, you know, I think 2 weeks before ngaphuma nge-negative, you know, but khona into engirealize ukuthi no, lento mayisekuphatha angeke ubuze, like uyazi. With me I knew ukuthi ngiphethwe lento. Why? Because it was bengingakazi ngagula kanje empilweni yami. There was never a time la ngi-experience lento engiphuma kuyo. So I knew very well ukuthi le ihlukile ke futhi iyo le COVID abakhuluma ngayo. Then I went to my doctor, and mangifika la banginikeza, I remember ngafaka i-drip, then after ngathola ne-injection. But the funny part ukuthi I still went back home kusasenjalo, you know, kusasenjalo nje. And the next day angayi check. The next day I went to one of the private hospitals, and what I saw there, into engibonela phayana something engengeze ngikhohlwe mangisaphila, you know. I won't mention the name yesibhedlela, but you know, akunanembhede, people are bebasibeke ku-wheelchair. I was in a whole wheelchair for the past 2 days, kuyi-dripping, ku-wheelchair, and you know, bongasaboni ukuthi patient ubani laphana, nurse ubani, and something is very traumatic. And I remember telling my dad ukuthi mina ngifuna ukubuyela ekhaya, you know, because bengisaba ukuthi ngizofela lapho. No, I knew for some reason ukuthi kula ngizofela khona la. So I begged my dad ukuthi I need to go back home. Lokho ngaleso sikhathi sibayenzile ama-test and they came positive, you know. And I remember ngithi ngifuna ukuya ekhaya and I'll find a way, and ngisaba nama-ventilation la khona. I thought immediately mangafaka lento there is no coming back. And yeah, ngabuyela ekhaya, Tranquility being the home, you know, ngathola i-medication. My boss was send out medication, you know, that I used go la malanga ngibele ngiquarantine, and that incede kakhulu, yabo, incede kakhulu. Ngazizwa nje ngijabulile, and I was very grateful ukuthi, you know, the pandemic ingibamba ilukuthi ngisebenza kule environment enje, the positive environment, environment la people, they don't only abakhulumi ngothando ngamazwi phela, but they also implement lelo thando through actions, izenzo, and that's exactly into engayithola la Tranquility. But just to fast forward in the story, there was a time la mangilele, and apparently sponsor Sam, my late sponsor Babylon Kaketwayo, passed on early this year as a result of the COVID. And I remember saying to myself, because now I was always skeptical when it comes to corona. I never thought ukuthi iya exist, and if iya exist, I only thought ukuthi there's a certain people ebaphathayo, and nabo ukuthi they are not actually fighting enough. That's why we ended up ibabulali bafayithali yabo. But I remember by myself, and ngicabanga ngithi, if Upra Babes, this is what he had to go through, then definitely there was no way he was going to come back. Given the fact ukuthi bekasamdala over 67, and I just thought to myself ukuthi, it kungumusa kaJehova. I don't think ikhona medication noma ukhona umuntu onamandla to help umuntu onalesifo ukuthi alulame. I strongly believe ukuthi it is by the grace and the messenger kaJehova, and as much as that experience beyibuhlungu, as much as lying there by myself, being in a hopeless state of mind and body, ngananethemba, but I think the most painful part was when I didn't have a chance to see my kids. That is one painful experience that I wouldn't wish to go back. Ngabona abantwana bami, talking about it nje namanje, yeah, but yeah, ngalula, with the help of staff sase Tranquility. What I mean is, labantu angizalwa nabo, but I would always get them calls, ukuthi manje unjani, how you feeling, siletheni, and mabafuna ukuletha Korea or bayenzeni, but siletheni, tell us what you want, and for me that was remarkable, given the fact that these are just my colleagues, but the type of love that abangitshengise lona, lingincedile ukuthi ngibe la ngikhona namhlanje. Mr. Gibson, for me now, thunyelwe uJehova. I mean, that guy, I don't think ukuthi some of the things that angenzele zona I deserve them, but he did them anyway. And I've realized that maybe yilo muntu uyilento ayiyo. It's not about just helping uMandla, but uyilo muntu nje onceda abantu. And it makes perfect sense why Majane rehab. It makes perfect sense because I think helping others, it's part of his DNA, And yeah, ngalulama, I got my calls, I would get my video calls, I would get messages that are very encouraging, especially from, and I mean everyone, Abu Lincoln, Abu Meralda, Abu Bongane, Abu Martin, Kulegane, Chris, Shai, Uncle Mo, you name them, they were always there. And when I told them, I'm coming back Monday, I'm 17, it's only, I got to realize ukuthi nami kunepart engidlalayo empilweni zabantu. I got to realize ukuthi it was just selfish of me wanting to die, because ngicabanga ukuthi there are people who are actually going to benefit from me being alive, and it's not ukuthi because I'm the high and mighty. No, simply because maybe Jehovah usafuna ukuthi angincede ngikhona ukunceda abanye abantu in return. So yeah, that has been my journey, and I guess I've survived to die another day.
Good day, guys. This is Meralda. I'm an addictions counselor at Tranquility Clinic Rehab. Tranquility is going places. Due to what's happening in our country at the moment as a result of COVID, Tranquility is launching very soon what is called Tranquility Online. You will be able to connect with the counselor 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There will always be someone to take your call. The people I want to reach out to today are sex addicts. That's who I want to reach out to. Sex addiction in South Africa is still extremely taboo, very difficult to talk about. I think we only have one meeting in Cape Town, I'm not sure. But here in Joburg, there are no Sex Addicts Anonymous meetings. If they are, they're online. But this is what we can offer the sex addict. We can offer you anonymous counseling. We can offer you the same counselor where, confidentiality is very important, and you'll be free to speak what you need to speak and be heard, and no longer live in shame. Because yes, all addictions bring us some form of shame, but when it comes to sex addiction or porn addiction, it's something that's so hidden. It's something that's never ever spoken about. Tranquility Online is giving you this opportunity to be able to address this addiction, to be able to get back to being having a healthy sexuality. This is so important in these trying times. Instead of hiding in the dark, watching porn on your phone under the table, we have a solution, and the solution is Tranquility Online. Overeaters Anonymous, you are so welcome to be our clients. We have professionals that will help you to deal with your overeating. We have professionals that will help you to set out a menu plan, an eating plan, and the most important thing for all of you guys is, if you are feeling an urge to act out on your disease at 3 o'clock in the morning, we're going to be there. You don't have to wait until 9 o'clock to see someone. Right there and then you can get on the line with us, and in that moment you don't have to act out on your compulsion, albeit for sex, pornography, eating. We are going to be there 24 hours a day. All types of addictions are going to be addressed by Tranquility Online. It's not a fellowship specific app. It encompasses everything: shopping, eating, sex, as I've said. Anything that is causing adverse consequences in your life can be termed as an addiction. We're not only talking about substances, we also talk about behaviors, addictive behaviors, shopping, in the internet, Facebook. People are addicted to these things. I mean, if you look at Facebook, how many times are we on Facebook reading other people's lives whilst ours is standing still? We saying at Tranquility app, we can help you and we can give you the guidance to recovery to begin to live a fruitful life. That is what we were put on this planet for. If you are in active addiction at the moment, there is a space in the universe that it's empty. That space was created specifically for you and the talents that you have. Whilst you're out there using, that space is empty. Nobody can occupy that space except you. Please reach out. We're here to help. So normally when I say the word trauma, people think of sexual or physical abuse. That's not necessarily the only trauma that I'm talking about. Our first trauma experience as a child is normally between our primary attachment relationship. That's between our mother or our caregiver, our primary caregiver. When a child reads off an adult that the adult is stressed or the adult is angry automatically the child blames themselves. Automatically the child turns that onto themselves and says that I'm the reason why. They're not doing it consciously, they're doing it unconsciously. And this then teaches a child from a very young age how to shut down his or her emotions in order to keep the adult happy. What a child wants at birth, it wants to be loved unconditionally. But if it sees that you are angry or you're stressed, it reads those stresses, and then the brain begins to shut down to enable the child to meet your need, not you meeting the child's need. And these are some of the simple traumas. Other traumas that I've studied over a while is the trauma of going to grade 1 for the first time. This is very traumatic for potential addicts and alcoholics, because as addicts and alcoholics, we always feel like we don't belong. We always feel like we're on the periphery of a circle. So going to grade 1 for the first time is extremely traumatic. And a lot of people I've worked with, their parents leave them by the gate. Please, parents, hear me. I'm not finding any fault with your parenting. I'm just stating facts. Leave the child by the gate and say, go in. And the child cries and is teased. This is extremely traumatic. The second trauma a child can suffer is when they have to move schools. So they've done the grade 1 thing, they found their friends, they found their place in the classroom, and then they have to move schools. They have to relive that first day at school all over again, and they're not equipped to handle it, because us as parents are so busy putting house and home together. We're not sitting down and explaining to our children, why the shift, and making sure that they're prepared for the shift. Another thing is bullying, especially for South African males, being bullied at school. 90% of the guys that I've worked with that have been bullied don't feel that they had the freedom to go home and tell someone that they were bullied because of the repercussion of them being called sissies or whatever the case may be. So they swallowed their fear, and every morning this child has to dress himself up, psych himself up to go to school and face the bully and have nobody to talk to about it. These are all traumas that later on in life may give in to the disease of addiction, may begin addiction. So from birth, I'm swallowing my emotions because I'm reading my mother's stresses. From 6 years old, I'm afraid to go to school and I'm afraid to tell someone because they're not going to understand. Then I'm bullied. By the time this child gets to grade 8, this child has been taught how to swallow its emotions. This is why the disease of addiction is a brain disease. The brain actually finds new ways to deal with stress that it shouldn't be at that early age. But as a coping mechanism, the brain has to do that. The child needs to learn how to go into self-preservation, needs to learn how to shut itself down because it's so afraid of getting hurt. So by the time it gets to 10, 11, 12 years old, somebody introduces him to weed. That's it. This thing just takes everything away. All the fear, all the pain, all the hurt. So drugs and alcohol, yes, they are the major symptom of active addiction. But what drugs and alcohol do, they medicate the child's pain. They medicate the adult's pain. It's a pain medication that helps them to be able to deal with life. Without it, they can't see life. I'm going to use an example of a heroin addict because that's like up there with getting off heroin. So a heroin addict that I've read up on and followed, they had a very toxic childhood. There was no love given to this child. The bare minimum was given to this child. The first time this person tried heroin, this is what they said. It felt like a warm hug. They'd never had any. So to try and separate a heroin addict from their warm hug, it's almost an impossibility. It's almost an impossibility. So in the counseling that we give, albeit online or face to face, we want to know not why the addiction. I want to know, why are you in pain? Why do you need to medicate your pain with drugs and alcohol? If I can help you get to the root of your pain and we heal the pain, the addiction will take care of itself. But as long as there's still childhood trauma running around inside of you, it's going to be very difficult for you to live a life of recovery. What does recovery mean? Recovery means to get back. It means to recover. Recover what? Recover my innocence. Recover my relationship with myself. Active addiction is a disconnection from self. First we disconnect from our caregivers, then we disconnect from ourselves. If we can find out what caused the disconnect, then presenting you with counseling as far as leaving drugs is concerned becomes a much easier process for you, the addict. And we can do this online. We don't have to do this face to face. We can do this in an hour's counseling session where you and I are just going to sit and talk. I just want to know what your childhood was like. And from there we're going to be able to pick up where the disconnect actually started. So I call it the growing down. So I take the adult and I grow you down to the age of 3 or 4 whenever the tragedy happened. And then I grow you back up to be the man or the woman that you are, so that you are emotionally the same age as you are now. Because trauma causes us to be emotionally 3 or 4 years old, even though we're 40 years old. So this is what we need to do. We need to grow you down, take you back down, and then grow you back up, so that you can begin to handle life as an adult. Addicts throw tantrums, we want things our own way just like a child. That's because that's where our emotions are locked. It's locked in that trauma. There's 2 types of trauma. One is simple trauma. This is when you see something once, like something happens to you once. Complex trauma is when you're living in the trauma, like living constantly with an alcoholic father. You know when he opens the gate. You know when he's there. You know that you've got to go into shutdown, run into your room, hide. So this is complex trauma. You keep on being traumatized over and over again. And the only escape you can find is drugs and alcohol, because then you can shut out the chaos. You can shut out the noise. And lots of times, when I work with people, and especially when we're doing step 4 and we're working on resentment, a lot of boys who come from abusive backgrounds believe that their biggest resentment is towards their father. It isn't. It's towards the mother for not leaving. Now this is what we work on. We work on the underlying issues, not on what you're saying on the surface. What you're saying on the surface you've been saying for the longest time. I want to hear what you're not saying. That's what I want to hear. And then we heal the mother wound, because mother, protector, you were supposed to protect me from this, mommy. You didn't protect me from this. Why didn't you leave him? But as adults, we're so scared to have those conversations. We think we're disrespecting our mother. When you work with me, we ask those questions. No disrespect to your mom. No disrespect to your dad. This is about you, the adult child that needs to heal. In order to heal, we have to start telling the truth. We have to stop sugarcoating what we went through. We have to start telling ourselves the truth. So, yeah.
Hi, my name is Tandwa and I'm part of the Tranquility online group. When I was about 17 years old, I got severely depressed. I had a great life, my family was very involved, I went to a good school, but somehow I still got depressed, and this made me feel very guilty. Eventually I was able to find some treatment and therapy and medication, but I was lucky. Not everyone has this opportunity. That's why I'm here to speak to you about the Tranquility online app. This is a fantastic app that offers you various kinds of counseling depending on whatever life challenge you're facing at that point. The benefits of it are it is all online. You have the ability to be in charge of who's involved in this app. You can invite family and friends to be part of it, and you can even involve them in your therapy sessions if you like, based on the challenge that you are facing. And lastly, we also have articles that are targeted to you based on whatever challenges you have in your life. You also have access to choose your own therapist. There are a list of qualified and experienced therapists that will be listed on the app, and you get to choose who you want to help you. We also have articles that will be available on the app for you to read about some of the challenges that you may be experiencing. You can also search for different kinds of topics if you want. Download the Tranquility Online app so we can help you. For more information, please go to the Tranquility Online website.
Okay, so i-Tranquility Online isinceda kakhulu, izosinceda kakhulu somphakathi, and because iziningi izinto efocus kuzo kakhulu ama-social issues esibhekana nawo, and so izosinceda kakhulu because manje singakhona ukuthi sikhona ukuthola uncedo in the comfort of our own homes. Akusamelanga nokuthi size sitravel, we just go online and sizithole impendulo ngentweni esibhekana nazo, of which becomes a problem. Doesn't only focus endabeni zotshwala or ama-drugs, but also when it comes to our relationship and other social issues. So it's going to be beneficiary to us, and it will be launched soon. So I advise you ukuthi please make sure ukuthi niyakhona ukungena ku-Tranquility Online and nizokhona ukuthola uncedo that you deserve. Thank you very much.